Man, shout out to you. You came here from TikTok, man. Let me just say that. Let me just say that. It took you a little minute, but you got here. You got here. I'll take these off, man. I'm not looking at none. I don't necessarily need these. All right. So, wow. Okay. So you saw the TikTok, and you saw that I purposely cut off on the number one film that I had for myself for the summertime. So I had to migrate you over, I had to herd you over, you know, like like I'm a shepherd or something. I had to herd you over to YouTube. But yeah, appreciate you if you hear from TikTok. So like I ran down the list five through two, and my number one pick is gotta be highest to lowest. Now I know some people trash in the film, some people love it. Hey, that's what art is for. It's for building conversations. It is for having difference of opinions. Like that's art for you. And I think the main thing that I hinge on and why I love that film so much and why I give it a 4 out of 5 in my review, I loved how it was able to just transcend itself within itself. Like this was a film, but to me, like, and I said this in my review, it felt like there were multiple pieces of media that were being pressed here, multiple different formats that it was trying to do, and I think it did pretty well. I think there were moments where it was a play. And I probably should say this here, like, spoiler alert, in case you haven't watched the film already. Here's my spoiler alert. I probably need to cut this in. Here's my spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So I think that one of the moments that, I mean, at first it confused me, but then later I was able to understand it because it was artistic in that way. It was the moment when David, who's Denzel's character, and his wife find out that, oh, their son is kidnapped. It becomes really like the score ramps up. It becomes really dramatic in this kind of unrealistic way. But to me, it made me feel as though I was at a play, and it was like those emotions of the things that were going on was it was trying to be heightened in that format. Now, was it the best delivery? Was the best performance? Was it was it something that made me feel like at the edge of my seat and like oh no, nah. No, I didn't feel any of those things. However, I was appreciative of how it was trying to be a part of that minutia of media, which would be like a play. Like somebody acting on stage is gonna be completely different than somebody acting in a film or a TV show or a short film for that matter. And as we know, Denzel has done acting on stage. He's done like Othello. He's done what was it, Macbeth. He's done some stuff on stage, so we know that he fences also. He's done some things on stage, so we know that he has that caliber of talent within him. Now, was this the right format to do this in this film? That's up to debate. That's up to how you feel about it in its entirety. I really loved the aspect because Spike Lee does always something with music, right? And I loved when Young Felon, ASAP Rocky's character, and Denzel's character, they going back and forth at the not the scene that everybody be talking about when they doing a rap battle. I think that was dope, by the way, but not that scene because I think that was heavily talked about and for good reason. It was a good scene. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I chuckled. It was cool. But the scene where it was like a music video and ASAP is performing his song Trunks and Denzel just hit the you know what I'm saying? He hit the and he's like he grooving like an older man would groove. I was like, yo, that's how I feel sometimes. I'll be like, I ain't even got to hit all these, chaotic dance moves. I'm gonna just pop the collar right quick. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna rock out like this. I was like, and that's what made this song so repetitive to me because we kept hearing throughout the song, throughout the movie. That was just hilarious to me. I loved how that combined with like the classic Spike Dolly shot, making this like a music video. They got the lights going. They got the girls in the back doing what they do, and like he popping the bottles and all this other stuff. It's like, oh, this feel like a music video. Like this is funny, and that's how they like transition to their conversation when young felon is arrested. Now David and him have another conversation. That's where he asks him, "Hey, like I want you to sign me. We got all this attention on me. Like I want you to sign me." And that part was very interesting. Um, what other point in time? So near the end, when the girl is singing, I can't remember her name. or her character's name, but this is the girl that his son his son, what's his name? Aubrey something, Aubrey Joseph, something like that. I remember him from Cloak and Dagger, with that young lady from that Disney show. I can't remember her name either. This is bad. I apologize. But I remember him from that. But that guy, when his son was like, "Hey, like, I want you to sign this artist." But also, he was like, "Yo, like, sign this artist." Like, he trying to, like, my dad is musically second, like, he trying to, he trying to finesse his way into there. I get it. I get it. I ain't mad at you. Um, and so at the end, when she like is singing and like really sing, like singing, her name was like something can sing, like something C sang or something. And they were like, what the C stand for? She was like, can. I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay. He's like, okay, she could sing. Not the difference between singing and singing. Like there's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. Only true artists, understand that. Like I'm not gonna give you no singing right now. I ain't drink my tea yet, so there's no reason for that right now. I don't need to. I don't want to embarrass Usher or like Chris Brown or like Mariah Carey. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to them. I respect them too much. And like I said, I ain't have my tea yet. So in that moment, it kind of felt like, oh, am I in a concert right now? And then it kind of felt like, oh, like because her voice is real, like it was larger than life, and it kind of felt like, man, this feels like and maybe this is an exaggeration, but it felt like, wow, I'm in the middle of an opera right now. It was like her voice is that rich. So again, they blend all these things into the film. I loved how they did that. I think that was really dope to me. The other thing that I enjoyed, man, my favorite scene out of this, again, is not the scene where ASAP and Denzel going back and forth with the freestyle of rapping. My favorite scene has to be when David and his son are in his son's room, and his son is like, "Yo, you gotta pay this money. That's my friend. That's out there. Like, pay this money. You got the money. It's just money." He's like, "Pay the money." And he talking big and bad to his daddy. And I love how they composed it, how they framed it, because you got the son that's like on one edge of the room, and then the dad is on the other edge of the room, and like you could like, man, I don't know how they did this, but you could feel and like almost see the tension that was in between them in that moment. Just the way how the camera was set, I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was so cool. And his son is yelling. This is a son yelling at his father. These are black folks. This is a black dad and a black son. And Denzel says something to the fact of like, oh, like you gonna curse at your father? Like, oh, you think you're big and bad? And he says, the only man in this house is me. And then his son is like, he got real quiet, real hush mode. And so mind you, like I said, at this point they still far apart, and I think there was something to that because again, being a son and then somebody being your father, like yeah, there is a difference of power, most definitely. Father's supposed to be up here, the son's kind of down here, not to make the son feel like he's lesser or nothing like that, but there is a clear respect level that's supposed to be here. That's your dad at the end of the day. So so then he says it like I'm the only man in this house, and then Denzel pull up on him. Like he pull up on him and he just get up on him. And he's like, "You understand me?" And then he put his head on him like he on his head. And he was just looking at him and he said nothing else. And someone's like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." I said, "Whoa, that was intense." And then you got a little bit of score coming in this time, a little bit of score at the time. I almost feel like the score wasn't necessary there. I will say that didn't we didn't need that in that instance. We could have just had white noise to just tell you the tension between father and son here in this predicament. Because at this point in the story, the son is now home, but the son's friend is still kidnapped, and the son's friend is David's godson, who's the son of his right hand man, played by Jeffrey Wright. So in that instance, you can understand the frustration of the son because like, yo, my son is out. My son. Well, I hope he wouldn't have a. The son's frustration is like, yo, my friend is out here, and God knows what's going on with him, and you, my dad, have the power to help him. That's my friend. It's your godson. Like, help him. And so I understand the anger and the rage coming from the son. But on the other side of the coin, I understand how the dad is like, this is not your decision. This is my money first and foremost, and B, your home, and that's what really matters to me. And so in that moment, we did. I mean, throughout that whole portion of the film, we get to see a lot of Denzel's pride and ego like at full front display. And then also you see his power dynamic within his own family dynamic. He has a lot of power and a lot of leadership in that household, which is admirable, right? For like the father is supposed to be like this leader and like this strong man and like to make the best decisions. But I think a lot of his decisions were rooted in his own ego and pride, which I think was a detriment to him as a person. But I think it gave his character some depth. Like this wasn't just somebody that was cookie cutter, in my opinion. He gave you some depth and some nuance, which I thought was really well done. And so going back to the scene where he's up on him in his face, I hope he had a tic tac, but he was in his face. He was just like he ain't say nothing, and the son was like yes sir type of thing. And then Denzel was like about to walk out, and again at this point it's like quiet, but you could see the son's reaction just the way he was like, what have I done? I thought homie was about to get smacked or something. I thought he was about to get popped on the lips or like punched or something. I say, yo, this is intense. And he went to the door and he was like, we need to get this door fixed or whatever. I thought he was gonna do something crazy, like pick the door up and just like throw it or something like that. I was ready for a moment like that. I was ready. But that was my favorite scene out of it. It was dope. It was so cool. Um Now, of course, there were some things in it that was like, what's going on? Like, I think the wife's character did feel a little one dimensional at times, most of the time. I think the detectives were like, we get an interesting discussion about classism and as it relates to black folks. Whereas Jeffrey Wright's character, who's David's, Denzel's right hand man, and how the police are like, maybe you had something to do with it type of thing. And they just, throwing all these assumptions and using inaccurate information to like basically pin it against, this under I can't remember his character's name, but Jeffrey Wright's character, which is crazy. And they don't fully like dive into it and really go over like that guy's past, but they give you these kind of concepts about how the law and like black people clash at times, right? I think that was the guy from the insurance commercials, Mayhem. I think he was such an unnecessary character because it was clear that he was trying to be funny, but like trying to be serious. And I was like, this guy is a commercial actor. Why is he in this movie? I wasn't convinced that he was a detective. He was unnecessary. And that was a problem. Because I remember when he was racing after the guy that was on the bike later in the movie when they get to the chase scene after the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which was so dope. I really want to see how they shot that. It was so cool. They were able to engage this real life event in New York to bring it forth in this story, and they made it fit so like in such a homogenous way. It was really cool. It was dope. But that's Spike Lee for you. Spike Lee's he's always gonna bring New York at the forefront to any of these films. So um, I appreciate it. It was dope to see that. But when Mayhem is, I keep calling him Mayhem because I don't know his actual name or his character's name. But he was running down the steps. And I'm like, why is he not running faster out of this guy that has the bike? And obviously, when he gets to the guy with the bike, like the bag of money we know is gone. It's already somewhere else. It's already got to where it need to get to. And it was weird how he was running down the steps, but like pitter pattering down the steps. That was goofy. Um, what else do I want to talk about this movie? So for me, the reason why I even rated it that high is because of the convergence of all these different pieces of art within this one art form, which is film, which I thought was beautiful. Um, I do like the nuance of this man of David King, who was supposed to be a protagonist and was supposed to love him, but then also at moments I'm like dislike him because why wouldn't you pay this money? You was about to pay. You didn't really want to pay this money for your own son, which makes me think like, what is your relationship really like? And then when his godson is now still kidnapped, he's like, I don't know. Because at the same time, his selfish ambition is like, yo, like I want to buy this record company and I want to, push it. And in that way, that's pushing, black ownership and him trying to find black artists and him trying to have all these really great things from a business sense and from a sense of being black and just enjoying the fruits of his own labor within music and also legacy. Like I know he was thinking about all these different things, which gives a lot of I want to call his character negative or positive. It adds a lot of nuance. There's a lot of gray area to his character as a whole, which I thought was fascinating. Um, and those things to me make this a really good movie to watch, a really phenomenal effort. I think. Now, of course, you got people out here trashing it and saying all this other stuff, like whatever. No Spike Lee slander, because if you notice, like Spike Lee is at the helm of it, yes, but Spike Lee is not the one who writes the screenplay. I believe his name is Alan Fox, and uh, and if you also if you look further into what this film is based on, it's like a rough kind of rewrite reimagining of Akira Kurosawa's. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Of his film called High and Low. I haven't seen High and Low to even compare these two together since they're kind of in the same breath of I guess similar things what they're talking about. I don't, but I can't even say that because I haven't seen High and Low, and I actually do want to watch this and watch more of that filmmaker's work because apparently he's goaded. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna watch High and Low at some point, and I think people that are trashing are probably comparing highest to lowest, comparing it directly to High and Low, and I think that's what kind of it pulls away from a lot of what this movie is doing. Because there are a lot of good things that's happening. It's not a perfect film by any 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 uh any way of the imagination. It's not a perfect film. I will stand on that. It's not perfect. Spike Lee has had some good ones. He's had some great ones. He's had some misses. People talk a lot about Chirac. I've not seen that, so I can't even say if it was bad or not. I don't know, but I know from Spike Lee movies I've seen is like Do the Right Thing. You got Black Klansman. You got like Malcolm X. Like you got some School Days. Like you got some great efforts by this director, and so no Spike Lee slander will be tolerated. But yeah, that's all I have for this conversation about what my top film of the summer was, and also a little bit of I gave you a little bit extra here, just because you're on YouTube, you're on a long form um space now, so I can ramble. Things like I have to be a little more shorter, and a little more curt and to the point. But here I can kind of deliver a little more breath to the things I'm trying to say, to my opinions. So thank you for sitting here and listening to me ramble. Um, yeah, so check this movie out, man, and develop your own opinion. Regardless of what I'm saying, you might hate it, you might love it. It's art. Like it's meant to be talked about and looked at, and it's meant to have different people on different sides of the coin and given how they felt about it. That's the whole point of that form of art. So thank you, man. Check a movie out today, or not. You can just chill today. I give you that permission to do that today. And without further ado, I hope you have a great day. In Jesus' name. Yes, sir.